And to me, I think the number one thing, it's people. When I think about the people I worked with, the coaches I worked with, the players I worked with, everything was A+. And everyone really had a shared vision, and they committed to trying to get our team and our players to be the best that they could possibly be during those 3 years. So listen, thanks so much for the invite, and I'm looking forward to this evening, and I'll turn it over to Bob.
Well, I think you're on mute, Bob.
Get off mute.
There we go.
Well, there we go. All right. Good to see everybody. Oh my gosh. Amazing, Todd. Oh God. It's incredible, everybody. It's been quite a while. Get a chance to see everybody and listen to hear from all of you. And like Ralph, I took over when he left, 89 to 95. We just had a wonderful time. I only wish, I feel bad. I'm sorry that we didn't do quite as well as we had hoped at the time, but I'll tell you what, they were 6 of the most wonderful years I've ever spent coaching. I was coaching at Lake Superior State University for 8-9 years, and then Alan Stone, then president, called me up and said, do you and Pam want to come home? And I said, what? So he said, well, why don't you come home and be men's AD and basketball coach, and Pam can work in development. And so we said, okay, well, how do we do it? And you rarely get a chance to go back to your alma mater. And we worked with so many wonderful people, and having the chance to work with and get to know the student athletes and all our players and their parents. And it was such a wonderful experience. And, I just hope they got something out of it. We certainly did, and wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And I'm just happy for all of you for what you've done with your lives.
Thanks, Bob. And thanks again for both of you guys hopping on here today. This is the hard part, introducing everybody and have it in an order here. I guess I can go right down our list. Sarah, I don't know if you want to go ahead and kick us off and kind of introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, happy to do that, Coach. Hello, everyone. For those of you that I don't know, my name is Sarah Daring. I'm the Director of Athletics. I'm going into my 10th year at Alma. I was the volleyball coach for 5 and then transitioned into administration from there, but been the AD for just over a year now, and it's been an interesting year, but we're pushing through and excited to watch the team play here coming up here in January. And Coach has made some really great strides, and I think that all of you will be really proud of the team when we can see them play in January. So really excited just to hop on and be a part of this and listen to the stories.
Awesome. Then how about Ryan? How about you kick it off and give us a good memory from your 4 years here. They should be fresh.
Yeah, I went here from 2016 to 2020. I guess there's not one memory that stands out to me in particular. I think just my time here, as a lot of people I think would say, is just meeting some of my best friends that I'll have for life. And without Alma College, I wouldn't have those people in my life. I can't thank this place enough, and I'm so excited to be back. And I'm just going to cherish every moment I have here.
Awesome. And then just making sure, is Matt? Yep. Matt, are you on here? Can you hit Matt Lauderman?
I don't think so.
No, I'm here.
Oh, there he
Coach.
is. Yeah, there he is.
Coach Bob, how are you, buddy?
Good, Matt. How you doing, babe?
Good. I chose to go to Florida for the month, get out of the cold up there in the northern Midwest, get out of Chicago for a while. I have some great memories hanging out with Bloomquist over there, and course, Colin Lewis, I don't see you on here, but I saw your name on there earlier, and Duncan all the time. But hey, great memories. 463-3881 is still the best pizza in town. Pizza Sam's, of course. So if you don't have that number memorized, you got to. And then, yeah, great times for sure. Great to see you, Coach.
Hey, you as well. Thanks for hopping on tonight. That's perfect transition right into Todd then.
I didn't know we would have to go so early in this thing. No, I was just texting Matt back and forth before we got on here, and I thought maybe since we were not the youngest people on here, that maybe we are the youngest. Whatever, we'll get this thing going. I mean, like people have said already, I mean, everybody that's in my inner circle is from Alma College. I was fortunate to have my brother be 2 years ahead of me. He kind of helped pave the way, as Coach E knows, that helped kind of seal the deal to get me to Alma. But again, from there, all my connections and everything that I have kind of done, and all the people that are in my inner circle are either from Alma or connected to Alma somehow. And it's, you know, it's a great place. You could probably see that I kind of got in the whole kid game a little bit later than most people. I have a 5-year-old who should be in bed right now shortly, daughter, and an 18-month-old, she's about to be 19-month-old daughter as well. Of course, those of you that knew me, of course, I'd have 2 girls. My brother, Coach E, also had 2 girls. So my mom always wanted to have 2 girls. Unfortunately, she passed a couple of years ago, but she had an opportunity to see some granddaughters because she only had Eric and I. But I mean, I always talk well about Alma and love the place and like this connection. Hopefully, I just finished coaching 20 years, so the basketball bug, it never left me. I went right from being a player with Coach E to an assistant coach to a varsity girls coach for 20 years. I never thought I would coach girls. And then all of a sudden I have a couple of girls. So now I guess I'll be coaching girls for another 20, just in a little different realm probably. But I just retired this past spring from coaching after 20 years. So, but a lot of the stuff that I did, thought about, is from all the experiences that I had at Alma. So did I go over my time, Coach? I apologize.
You're good. You're good.
I'm used to this because I'm also a teacher. So I've been teaching on the Zoom like all year.
Yeah.
The last week it's been from home. So
I will say this, Todd, you still do like to talk on the court just like you do on this. That's for sure, probably.
yeah. Have to have the gift of gab, right?
Well, appreciate
right.
it, Todd. Thank you.
It's great to see you though, Coach Eldridge. Great to see you, and I hope things are well with you.
Everything's well with us, Coach Bloomquist, and it's good to see all of you, Matt, and Dave. Good to see you, Dave. Haven't seen you in a while, but it's good to see all you got, and all you guys. My God, Matt and Dave, for everything. All right. My God, it's amazing. Stu and Bruce and Jay, I mean, all of you have just, Luke, nice to see you. Oh my God. It's it's amazing. The Alma connection, it just gets in you and it never leaves. There's something about it. And you young guys, you're going to know it more and more, believe me, and appreciate it more and more. So go ahead.
No, I appreciate it, Bob. How about, that's perfect again. Bruce, how about we go with you next? Long time no see.
Yeah, I don't know what to say with that teacher guy. You know, talking about talking, and most people who know me know I've been a lawyer for 31 years. So I will keep it short, Todd. Kinda. I played from 1970 to 1974, and Todd is definitely not the oldest. I played a little bit after Bob Eldridge. I think Bob was playing when I was a freshman. I do see some people I played with. I see Stu Tenhor, and of course our magic guy, the trainer. I see John Skinner's on, so he was an amazing guy. One of the things, probably the thing that I remember most about playing at Alma was I feel very entitled to have played for two really, really great coaches, the late Bill Clank and the late Butch Cantrell. That what an experience that was. And I am waiting to hear Dave Froelich talk about that 4 overtimer at Albion College. I was a school administrator at Homer that when that game was played, and 6-7 mile drive over to Albion, and what a basketball game that was.
We'll make sure he gets some time to tell that story here in a few minutes. But how about we go? Well, perfect. He's next on the list too. How about go ahead, Dave? If you're on Froelich, I know we got multiple Daves here.
Well, yeah, it's great to run down the memory lane of Alma College. Stu Tenhor's on here, and I haven't seen Stu. My gosh, I don't know how long, but Stu was our guy, our captain, when I arrived on campus in '75, and I really was in awe, I guess, of him and those guys, and they really taught us how to compete and how to play and how to become a college player, and we really absorbed all that, and I played for Coach Klink, and then went into coaching after college, and I coached high school basketball for 34 years. And I attribute a lot of that to the experiences I had at Alma. Coached in the Milwaukee Bucks summer camps when Colonel grabbed us and said, "Come on, you're going to do this," whether we knew what we were doing or not. All those kinds of things. It was an awesome experience. But the memories, Bruce, like you said, the 4 overtime loss that year was an incredible game. We beat them at our place by 1 or 2. It was like a 93-92 game, and then we lost 4 overtimes down there. I think it was 4-103 or something like that. And I actually played all 60 minutes with Danny and a few other guys. And Albion had a really good team with Nybert and Milton Barnes and Jersick and all those guys. And they ended up going on. And I still to this day don't quite know how it all happened, but they went on to finish 3rd in the nation that year. But we tied for the league championship. But I think we lost a coin flip or something because the president said we're not having a playoff. But those are all great stories, great experiences, and we certainly get better as the years go along. I know that. But I do cherish everything about our time at Alma, and I wish the best for those guys that are there now, and Coach Clark, and where the program's going.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. How about we go on to Stuart then?
Hey, everybody. It's great. It's one amazing thing that Zoom offers us, despite the pandemic, is the chance to do something like this. So I have a couple of stories to tell of people that are on this. Bruce Moss, who was 2 years older than me, was the point guard and had a lot of assists. I have this image in my brain of doing wind sprints for like 20 minutes straight. And Bruce just kind of looking up with this funny look on his face going, "Yeah, I think we got 5 more minutes to go, so suck it up." And Dave, I think you might have been a freshman when I was a senior. Yeah, I mean, your team won the title a couple years after I left, and that's amazing. I don't think too many other Alma basketball teams won. But the biggest thing for me about Alma, there was a lot of support for us players. I think I was very well supported. I ended up winning an NCAA postgraduate scholarship, which paid for most of my first year's tuition in law school. And that wouldn't have been possible without the support I got at Alma. Charlie Gray was the athletic director then, and I still remember him saying, "We're going to put you up for that scholarship, so you better make a lot more points than you're making right now." So anyway, I had a lot of great memories at Alma, and I'm honored to just have a chance to see everybody. And I'm pleased that there's maybe more old guys than young guys, but it's still it's a good experience that I had. So thanks very much.
Thanks for sharing, Stuart. Let's move on to Carl.
Hey everyone, how we doing? Carl Hill. It's my first time joining the alumni network here. So glad to be here. Glad to see everybody. I played from 2002 to 2006 under Ed Catala. He was there, I think, for maybe 6 years. So Coach Clark, I kind of feel your pain. My freshman year, we had double the amount of seniors you have on our team. And at one point, I was one of the 5 starting freshmen playing against, my memory was from my freshman year running up against, 2- and 3-time All-Americans from Calvin and Hope and Albion. And but it was fun. It was a good experience. And then, getting into my junior year, we actually were getting some votes for, top 25 in the country and all that. So we had kind of turned it around at one point, but no, it was a great experience, and I'm still in college athletics today, and I kind of never left. So, Alma was a great starting point for that. I learned a lot about college athletics and just, about myself as a person, kind of being away from home. And but yeah, it's great to be here.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for hopping on. We always looking to expand our group here and try to get as many people connected as we can. So especially anybody from your era, if you know anybody, we'd love to get them back and love to get them involved. How about we move on to Dave Devine?
All right. Good evening. Great to be with everybody. I'm a 90 graduate. I was the manager of the team for 4 years. So I got to work with Coach Pym for the first 3 years, and then with Coach Eldridge the last year. And this experience just completely changed my life. I mean, I was a golfer in high school, so I had never really been part of a team sport. And, I did help out with the basketball team in high school, and I, didn't lack in confidence. So I kind of wandered into Coach Pym's office in September of 1986, and I'd read in the Almanian that we had a new coach. I'm like, "Hey, you need any help?" He goes, kind of looked at me, he goes, "Well, I guess you could come tomorrow and see if you can help us out." And it turned out to be an incredible experience. And, we had Coach Luke there and Coach Bowden and Coach Crean. And, I learned the definition of intensity and commitment. And, a lot of stories, but, Coach Pym, my role on Tuesdays and Fridays was to drive one of the coaches to a high school game. We go to recruit Bob Norris up in Sutton's Bay. We're late to the game, and Bob's on the bus, and the bus is starting to leave. And Coach Pym says, come on, Dave, go. And we're in this Chrysler Aries station wagon. The car's still going 10 miles an hour, and Coach Pym opens up the door and jumps out of the car and jumps into the bus, trying to talk to Bob. I remember it was yesterday, Coach.
I know. Hey, we did get him too.
We got him too. We got him. We got Jay and.
Oh, I know. Dave, I've got to stop you right now. I've got to correct you. And you said you were the manager. Let's get this straight. Maybe you were the manager the first year, but you did such a darn good job. You were the student assistant. So,
Well,
you were elevated to a student assistant. And I tell you what, in all the different places I've been, I never had a student assistant that did the job that what Dave did.
Exactly.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Well, thank you. It was great. Nice to see Chris Warmbold on the phone. He and Steve Clank lived across the hall from me 1 year. I was the RA. They were troublemakers, but you know, and you know, and the other great memory is with Kevin and Chase and the young guys making it to the Elite Eight. I mean, that was so cool. So, you know, the kind of the bookends of the experience, and you know, there's a lot of people on the phone that have helped with that. I mean, Coach Fro has been huge in support and that. So it's just great to be part of this great, you know, it's great 30 years later it's as great 30 years later as it was in 86 when I first walked into Coach's office. And we got a lot to be proud of, and it's all because of you guys.
Dave, I got to
thing
tell one more story on you though. And this was just a few years ago. I was at Final Four and I was having lunch with Ted Hillary.
Oh God.
And I you know what I'm going to say, right?
This is a true story.
Yeah, this is absolutely the truth. Ted's working MIAA games. I mean, you know, he worked Final Fours, but he started MIAA games when I was coaching at Alma. You're sitting on the bench and you got upset with the call. You threw your hands up in the air and your watch flew off.
No, it wasn't. I didn't get upset. It was a 3-point play and I went, count it. Flew off my hands.
Okay.
And hit him.
He still remembers it. Yeah, he asked me about it.
Ted Hillary I went to Central High School, and Ted Hillary was the teacher there when I was a student.
Yeah.
Ted Hillary was refereeing in 76, 77, 70. I mean, that's when he started it, I think, in the MIAA. And I've got an off-colored Ted Hillary story. I won't tell it right now. We'll wait till another time.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing, Dave. And Dave's been a big part of getting this alumni group back together. And so I appreciate his help with organizing all that stuff.
Mark Bussel's done a lot of work.
Mark as well. He's not on tonight, but Mark Bussel's been a big part of it as well. How about we go to Chris here? Oh, is he driving?
Looks like it.
What's up, guys?
Hey
No,
there.
I'm driving. I'm with my nephew in the car, and I'm in California, so we can't touch our phone, or could be a ticket that I'd have to send to Alma College. I don't want to do that. So, but I played 1 year at Alma College, and I was you know, I don't know if you still have a JV team, but I was honored to play JV, and I think I dressed for maybe 1 or 2 games with Coach E. And real quick, my story, you know, I went to Alma College just because it was, you know, education for me. My dad worked there, and I played a lot of pickup, and I'd play with all the guys, you know, Claviette, Klink, Motters, Grange, Mangin, and I'd play with the team, and I wasn't on it. And, you know, one day, Coach Crean was watching everybody play, and after it was all done, he goes, "Hey, Chris, I need to talk to you." And I'm like, "Man, Coach is gonna tell me I can't play." And he goes, "You know, Coach Penn wants to see you in his office." So I go there, and it's been a long time, so I don't remember exactly what happened, but Coach Penn said, "Hey, Chris, Coach Crean tells me that you've been playing with the guys, and I want to see if you are interested in coming back next year and trying to play for the team." And I said, "Yeah." And he just told me I need to work on my ball handling and fundamentals. And, you know, then, so I did a lot of stuff in the off season and came back to campus, and Coach Pem had went on to, I believe, Virginia, and Coach E came. So, but it was a great year for me. It was, you know, playing basketball and being in sports in college actually helped me focus and concentrate, and actually had a purpose for going to school to get my grades up so I could play. And so it's been a long time since I've been around the people from Alma, but I stay in touch with Clav and Mangin, and so definitely great friendships. Clinks, I don't know if you guys remember Kevin French, but
Yeah.
he's recovering from COVID. He had a really rough 6 days there where he had like 104 temp and couldn't catch his breath and went to the ER, but he's been getting better. So say a few prayers for him, and, you know, everybody out there with this COVID thing. just be careful, and you never know what's going to affect you. But I want to thank Bill Arnold for sending me the link and letting me join and see you guys. Coach E, good to see you.
Good to see
Double
you,
D,
Chris.
Double D, man, it's good to see you, brother. And and you can't tell anybody any stories about what Clink and I did back our freshman year. That doesn't count.
Got it.
And my boy, Coach Pim, man, it's good to see you. I thought you were a former player. I think you've anti-aged.
No. Listen, Chris,
Looks the same.
I always look forward to your emails. Actually, I mean, you just wrote to me, I think yesterday or the day before, and actually, I have grandchildren in California, and that's where you're living now. Where are you in California?
I'm probably about 15 miles from Disneyland, so in the city of Orange.
Okay. No, we have a son and a daughter, and they're in the Bay Area, but we get
Okay.
out there a couple times. Well, we used to get out there a couple times a year until COVID hit.
Yeah.
But I'm looking
Yeah.
forward. Hopefully, we'll stay in touch, and I always wish you the best.
Yeah, man, I'll make a trip up to the northern hemisphere. You come down to Orange.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris, for sharing there. Let's go on to Jay Shriver.
I don't even know where to begin. First of all, it's great to see Coach Pim, Coach E. I played for both of them. I was recruited by Coach Pim. My first year was 87, 88, and I was a freshman. Played 2 years under Coach Pim, played 2 years under Coach E. Played with Chris. I'm a little upset with Chris because, I was playing those pickup games with him too. He didn't mention me. But just kidding, Chris. And
What's
then, of
up,
course,
Jay?
I played Eric Bloomquist. Todd's brother was a sophomore when I was a senior. And so there's a lot of guys on here actually that I know. Mr. Devine was there for 3 of my 4 years. And now my son is affiliated with your fraternity. I don't know if you realize that. Jackson
I did
Shriver's
not.
my son. Yeah, I think you've met him. My son is there as a junior, played 2 years of football, is currently probably not going to play any more football, but loves Alma. I've got another son who's a really good player at West Ottawa. He's a 6'5" guard, can shoot threes. Unfortunately, a way better shooter than I ever was.
We'll be seeing you.
Yeah,
You were pretty good, Jay.
He's a good player, and we're gonna have a lot of fun if we ever get out of COVID. Chris mentioned Frenchie with the COVID. I just got done with it. I'm on day 26. I had 2 weeks of hell. I never went in the hospital or anything, but it was tough. I had 4 or 5 days that were, hardly get off the couch kind of stuff. But made it through. And ironically enough, my whole family got it about the same time, including Jackson, who was away at school at the time. But we've all gotten through it. So that's great. And I just I was kind of late joining because I took a big hike tonight. No shortness of breath for the first time in a while. Feels great. Can't wait to get working out again. Maybe cut my hair. I don't know. I was thinking of some different stories. I mean, I got a million of them. My experience was great. I played all 4 years. We had some really good teams. My sophomore year, when Van Sumeren and Fryer were seniors, was Coach Pim's last year. That was one of the best records in a long time at Alma up until then, since the 70s, since you guys had all that success in the 70s. And then we had some pretty solid years after that with Coach E. I had a real good connection with those guys. I'm still linked with a lot of them on Facebook and Instagram. I used to see Bus all the time. I don't see him as much anymore. Kids were playing AAU together and stuff, but I'm still linked with a lot of them. A Coach Prim story, talking about intensity with him and Crean. I had Crean for, I don't know, was he there 2 seasons? And he coached post players and used to just kick our ass. But he was great. I mean, I needed it. I pushed myself hard. I wasn't the most gifted guy in the world. And I got every ounce of out of what I had because of guys like him and Coach Pim and Coach E. You know, Coach Pim's story, you know, I think I was a freshman and I dressed a few times for varsity, started on the JV team. We had 4 post players that were seniors. They didn't need me on the varsity very much, but we're practicing. And Coach Luke got it. Sorry, Coach Luke, I'm looking around. And Coach Luke was coaching me at the time, primarily in JV. And I set a screen on Mangin. And Mangin was a freshman too, but he's starting on the varsity. And I learned the pecking order real quick. I set a blind screen on him because our job was to push the varsity. And I laid Andy out, just laid his ass out. And I'm thinking I did a great job. I'm like, I just kicked his ass.
And I remember that day.
Tim blows the whistle and he gets about this close to my face. What the hell are you doing? It starts chewing my ass, spit flying onto my forehead. And that was one of them. But then, you know, but I had to learn that sort of, you know, what to do in practice when I was a stupid freshman. I made a mistake. Another time, the next year, same type of thing, only this time I'm not playing for shit. And I'm a sophomore on a really good team and I'm trying to get minutes and he knows I'm good enough to get minutes and I'm going through the motions and same type of thing. I got my ass kicked inside and he blows the whistle, turn that jersey over. You're playing with the damn JVs. If you can't, you got to earn that damn jersey. And I'll never forget, I ended up playing, I had a great practice after that and I'm kicking Fryer's ass. And if you know anything about Mike Fryer, he didn't like that. So, I mean, I scored a bunch on him. I'm playing great. And all of a sudden I get an elbow right in the temple, about as hard as he can hit me. And after practice, and then that was close to the end of practice, and I get down in the locker room and I'm like, Mike, what the hell? I'm like, that was deliberate. And he looks at me and goes, dude, you're kicking my ass. You're making me look bad. I'm the man, you know, or something like that. And I'm just like, oh, good Lord. But I mean, it's just, and to think about, and I've told some of those stories to kids just as I've coached, because I coached for 20 years. I've coached AAU for the last 10 with my sons. I was a varsity assistant for a lot of years. I coached whatever. You don't need to hear it all. But I've told some of those stories about the intensity of, you know what, the kids are coddled so much. No one wants to tell them when they're doing wrong. No one wants to kick them in the ass. And I appreciate those types of things. And I had several of those experiences too with Coach Luke and Coach E as well, as far as just, you know, demanding your best, requiring you to play hard. And those are things that hopefully my kids have gotten. You know, the youngest or the oldest was lucky enough to play in the state finals in football as a quarterback. My older ones or my younger ones doing good. And I hope that they've learned, you know, and some of those things I've tried to pass on from the locker room experience with Coach Luke, Coach E, Coach Pim, and then a lot of the players I played with. And Dave, you know, I think Ralph hit the nail on the head. Anything we needed, you tried to make it like we were treated like Division I athletes, and we appreciated it as best we could. And I think all you guys treated us with respect. And Dave, you added a lot to it as well. But coaches, I just thank you very much for everything you've done for me, because I feel like I'm a better father, a better human being for the experience. Sorry I went so long.
Yeah, no, Jay, Jay, you brought up, and Dave brought up a really key point. And I, as I work with athletes now, I'm working with athletes. I work for the government of New Zealand, so I'm working with national team athletes in the country of New Zealand, and I'm also working with their coaches. And the number one thing right now is getting young people to learn how to compete.
Right.
And Dave said it, and I think those are the lessons that we as parents, as leaders, as coaches, whatever it may be, is helping people understand above the line behaviors. And there's a difference between playing hard and competing.
Correct.
Someone can be playing hard. Excuse me. Okay, I should have.
Hey, can I say one more thing to Coach E? Because I didn't share anything about
Right.
him, my time with him. Is that when we went to that? I think it was my junior year when we went to Florida and won that tournament in Florida, playing against some of the best Division NAI teams and D3 teams. And I had a great tournament. And you trusted, like I hadn't been starting, and you played me more and started me and that kind of thing. That was a great experience. And I and the party afterwards might have even been better.
That was a pretty good party.
Well, I've got one other Florida story.
Oh,
This
God.
involved you. You had a great tournament down there. This involved Matt and Todd, and so we're down. We're playing down in Springer, near Springer Island in Florida. We're staying these right on the beach. So we go in and play, and we win the first night. And these two get in an argument after the game. Back, we went out to eat, and then we're just kind of hanging out by the beach that night. And they're arguing over who scored the most points and who got the most rebounds. And it turned out that both of them scored 22 points, and they both had 12 rebounds.
Oh, wow.
And so I tried to tell them, I said, look, it doesn't matter. It did to them.
Right.
It sure did. And we had a great tournament. It was a fun night. And you know what? They were great teammates.
Hey, Coach,
great teammates, and they were just super to coach. And I had so much fun with them during their 4 years. It was amazing.
Coach, that's a great story. By the way, I had 5 assists to Todd's 2. So I did actually have a little bit better stats that game.
That's good.
Oh, I appreciate you bringing up the competitive thing, because we'll come back to that here in a little bit after we get through everybody. That's something I'd love to talk with coaches and all you guys about as we go along here. We just got a few more guys to finish up going through everybody. How about we go with John Skinner here next?
Okay, thank you, Ryan. You guys have got about 4 years of stories about Alma College basketball. I've been watching Alma College basketball pretty much my whole life, so that's about 70 years of stories. But I think I've seen all of you guys play. I grew up in Alma. I've lived in Mount Pleasant almost all my adult life. I was a student trainer when Bruce and Bob played. There was also a guy by the name of Charlie Hudson, who was perhaps the best basketball player ever to play at Alma College, perhaps. Let me just mention a few more people that I got a chance to see. Bill Klink, Butch Cantrell, Dave Peters, who won 16 letters at Alma College. A guy by the name of Jim Northrup, who you may have heard of. Bud Acton, who was another candidate for the best, for the GOAT. Bud actually played in the NBA one year. A guy by the name of Rick Warmbolt. Chris, is that your dad? Okay. Let's see. Danny Stoltz and Dave Froelich. Did you guys play together? I think you did, didn't you? That was a really fun team to watch. And then all the way through to the 2016 team, what a great pleasure that was to watch those guys play and go to the Elite Eight. And then last year, hope to get a chance to see you guys play this year, at least on the internet. So I could tell lots of stories about the time Bruce's team won down at Hope and the time Bob's team won down at Kelvin. That was the first game Kelvin lost in their new building, if I'm not mistaken, in 1970. So I could go on, but I'll leave it at that. Thank you for the opportunity to meet with you guys.
Hey, thanks, John, and looking forward to having you back for some more games this year. And we will have some, just starting in mid-January. So look for the schedule coming out soon. We just got it approved tonight. So just making sure everything lines up correctly. Let's go with Luke Stefanowski next. Jeez. Oh, I think you're on mute, Luke.
Yeah, I've tried to keep my mouth shut. This is almost as fun as being at a live game. Really appreciate the opportunity. I became a fan in the late 70s. That's when Bill Klink's teams were making a great run, and I was in high school in Saginaw. And I played only a couple of years at Elm. I came in '79. Dan Swachenko was a coach at the time. Yeah. Dan was only at Elma for 2 years, and then Chris Ragsdale stepped in, and I played for Chris 1 year. And then I had an opportunity to coach as an assistant with Chris Ragsdale 1 year. And then Chris left, and then Ralph Pym came in, and was fortunate to serve with Ralph for 3 years. We had a great coaching staff led by Ralph. And then Rob Bowden was just an outstanding floor bench coach with us. And of course, Tom Crean was making his rise into the profession, and Tom's gone on to do great things. When I was at Elm, I have one story here I want to share. We were recruiting Bob Norris, and somebody already mentioned a Bob Norris recruiting story, but I think I might have been driving that same old rickety Dodge Aries station wagon. It actually broke down in the parking lot up in Sutton's Bay on a Friday night. I'd gone up to see Bob play, and the car was dead in the parking lot. When it was time to leave for the game, I didn't have a way to get home. Stranded in Sutton's Bay. Now, the next morning, I have to tell you, we were playing down in Adrian. So on Saturday, we had to get on a bus and go to Adrian. So when that car broke down, I called back to the college and got a hold of somebody there in the motor fleet or whatever. They drove up to Sutton's Bay, picked me up. Long story short, got back into Elma, must have been like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then it was early to get on the bus and go down to Adrian. Of course, we ended up getting Bob. Bob went on to have a great career for us. But that was just part of all of the fun. There was a lot of fun involved over the years being affiliated with the program. I've made a lot of friends, a lot of lifelong friends and acquaintances. When I was coaching with Ralph, I had some fleeting thoughts about making this a career as far as coaching, but I got out of it. I ended up spending 21 years as a school administrator, all at the middle school level. We lived in Alma for a long time. I was able to follow Alma College basketball all those years living in Alma. And part of that time when I got out of the coaching, because I got into school administration, I was still able to be close to the program by being the public address announcer. And had some fun doing that. I've since retired. We've moved to West Branch, Michigan, my wife's hometown, and continue to be really excited about Alma College basketball and following the basketball team for, I don't know, what's it been now, 4 decades, maybe 5 decades. It just seems like it's been a big part of my life, and everybody affiliated with it, and seen some highs and some lows, and it's just been a really fun experience, and it's great to stay connected, and appreciate the opportunity for this and seeing everybody tonight.
Luke, I like to jump in and just say that the role that you played on our staff was so critical for me to come in and have you on the staff, a graduate of Alma, for you to open the doors to the Alma College community. The coaching that you did for the JVs, it was superb. It helped prepare players for the next step. And I can't thank you enough. I think sometimes coaches like yourself get overlooked as far as or underestimated. But what you did for me personally, I mean, you were Mr. Alma. Any question that I needed, the loyalty and your knowledge of the college itself and your sense of caring for the players, not just as players, but as people, that was huge in our program. So I thank you for that.
Well, and I'll
Ralph, I
piggyback
appreciate
on that and
that.
just say also that I don't remember, here's a Luke story that I played for in my freshman year primarily. Like I said, I dressed for a couple varsity games, but played primarily JV. And I don't know whether it was true or not. I'd heard that they hadn't had a JV with a winning record in quite some time. And we had a winning record that year, and we played well, and we played some really good. I think Lansing Catholic or Lansing Community College that year might have won the national title in JUCO, and we took them right to the wire. It was a good year. I mean, we had a good year. We developed some guys. I, for one, it helped me with my transition the next year when those 4 seniors all graduated to contribute, at the varsity level. And I had a great experience that year. Really, really good time. And me and Jerry Zarnick, you both did that. And the next year really contributed on the varsity. And we probably wouldn't have done that if we wouldn't have had such a good freshman year. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jane. I appreciate the kind words from Ralph. And, I would just make a quick comment there related to all that. Part of that, I think, is, we all have roles. We all have roles to play, and you have to understand what your role is. And if you're in the right position, you're in the right role, we can all make contributions in some way. And that's something that, sometimes hard to learn and understand for people in whatever role they have, whether it's in athletics or in the world of work. We all have a role or a position to play, and we do that to the best of our ability.
I think, Luke, when I look back on the 3 years and the 3 winning seasons that we had, it was really it all started with the staff. I mean, for a Division III school, if you look at the staff that I was fortunate to have with the experience, like you mentioned with Rob Bowden, I mean, what a great game coach, the X's and O's and things like that. You were on the staff. Tom Crane, a young coach that I brought to Alma. That was his first coaching position on the college level, because I saw in him something that I thought he would really grow at Alma, which he did, being surrounded with you, Rob. And then the other piece that I mentioned before is Dave and the role that Dave Devine played. You're right. I mean, you said it perfectly. Everyone played their role. There wasn't petty jealousies. Everyone was pulling the rope in the same direction. And we had a shared vision that we tried as hard as we could to get it off the ground. What I really feel great about, and I see Chase on this call with us, that team, I tell you what, and I really appreciate, because I had an opportunity to talk with the team a few times and get to know all of you. And that season in 2016, that was for all of Alma College. I really at that point was able to get finally at peace with the whole vision and my belief in Alma College basketball and what it could be. You did it. Yeah. And you and your teammates did it. The coaches, Ryan, what you ended your role on it. You know what? That helped me so much, because Alma has a special place in my heart, but there was always unfinished business. And what you guys accomplished, man, I tell you, congratulations. That's super.
And Chase, I don't know you. I haven't met you, but I would say 100% that's true. We all saw that we could do that. We felt like we could get there. And, I live here in Holland, Michigan. I love rub it in Hope's Eye. I played against Coach Mitchell, who was a senior when I was a sophomore. And I was following you. I don't think you guys even realize how many people were following, going to games, fighting for tickets. I was calling the coaches directly going, hey, I need some tickets. So just, to reiterate what Coach Pim said, 100%. I mean, again, you don't know who I am from Adam, but just understand there were a lot of people that were pulling for you, watching, and proud as hell of what you guys accomplished.
There's something about Alma College and the kind of people that it brings in. And whether it be coaches or professors, admissions counselors, it doesn't matter. Alma is a special place. It is. We all had different experiences. Many of them were shared, like we have here. But there's something very special about Maroon and Cream. It really is. And when somebody says "Go Scots" to me, that's why I still have my hat up there. It's something really, really special. And thanks to all of you.
Yeah, and thanks again, Bob. I think we can all. I mean, I didn't play here. I played at Kalamazoo in our league, but just being here for 9 years, now going on 9 years now, this has become my home, and I think you guys are right on. It's the people here are just amazing, and when we go up against other schools, especially in our league, recruiting wise, we all look very similar on paper, but they always ask us what's the difference, and that's the number one thing we say, that it doesn't matter if you're talking about a coach, admissions counselor. Nancy, the lady that checks everyone in at the lunchroom, she's awesome. She knows everybody's name by the end of the first week on campus. It's crazy, and the amount of support our students get and our student athletes get are just, it's just incredible. And I'm happy to be here, proud to be here, proud to be a part of that group with Chase as an assistant, and just appreciate all the kind words you guys have had for everything so far. I think we got 3 guys left here. We'll go with Kevin Scheibert, one of the young guys on here.
Hey everyone, graduated from Alma in 2018, was lucky enough to be a practice player for that 2016 team, playing with great players like Scotty Nikodemski, obviously Chase on the call, and also being able to play with another great player like Ryan Stevens, giving him some of those assists that we talked so much on in the beginning of the call. I think everyone just kind of hit it right on the head, the unity and kind of brotherhood that's formed at Alma. I specifically remember a visit I had an overnight, and Chase kind of talked so much on it, and you kind of get a thought of, okay, everyone says that, everyone's close knit, but you really feel it right after your first couple of months on campus, and something that brings everyone back together, like something like this. So certainly something that is just an incredible feeling, and even better to be a part of.
Kevin, I loved watching you play because the competitiveness, getting back to that word again. And I remember you and I had some conversations, and I remember talking actually to, I think it was your mother after a banquet one time when I spoke there, and the progress that you made throughout your career and the senior year that you had. I tell you what, I love watching competitors. So there's something about it. And as I wasn't able to, I could see the games online, but I did get to see a couple of them live. And I hope that you can look back on it and appreciate it. And I hope that you're finding ways, which I'm sure you are, of transforming that competitiveness into everything that you're doing in life, because you're going to be ultra successful.
Thank you, Coach.
And to touch on, Kevin was incredibly invaluable all 4 years he was here. I mean, he's probably one of the most athletic guys we've had here in my time. Unfortunately, his what was it, your junior year? Both of our, Kevin Gamble and in 2017, yeah, Kevin Gamble and Doug Bradfield, our 2 bigs on that 16 team, both got hurt. And Kevin ended up being a 6'5" 5-man for us pretty much all year. And the way he battled and competed against taller guys, I wouldn't say stronger, he was pretty well put together. But there was hardly anybody that he couldn't guard on the court. And it almost made us better in a roundabout way defensively, because we could pretty much switch 1 through 5 with him. And so the way he got improved every year, and he was a guy that started on the JV and just got better and better and better and more confident in himself every year, and ended up being a all-league player his senior year. And I'm incredibly proud of him, and just being a part of his transformation and watching him grow, and all the kudos goes to him and the work he put in with that. I think we got 2 guys left here. We'll go with Chase Fairchild.
What is up, everybody? Good to see you all. I won't hit on it too hard. Definitely the Elite Eight run was probably one of my best memories. And in large part too, because like we were talking about, it kind of felt like there was a little bit of revival from, I mean, it was felt from afar. It was felt at the games too, a lot of times with the alum involvement and support. Sometimes, and we were filling up away games, which was completely new. That was pretty cool. One of the memories that isn't from that season is actually from the season before, and kind of really felt like, okay, we can do this, and okay, there's a lot of support, a lot of alum behind us as well. It was our homecoming game, like homecoming for alumni or something along those lines. We were playing Hope, and I believe it was the first time we ever beat Hope in 26 seasons. I'm not entirely sure if that's right. I think it was 26 years. And we had at least 24 alum come into the locker room with coach and celebrate with us. And it was like all of Alma won. Like each of the last 26 teams just beat Hope. It was just an awesome feeling. I'm 5 years out of school now, four years, and up until COVID, we were still fielding a mostly Alma alum team at like the YMCA here in Grand Rapids. So still tight with a lot of the guys, and still play with them too. I don't know if you want to throw us on the court right now. That might be kind of rough, but we'll get back there. Back to men's league.
And again, thanks, Chase, for sharing that. Chase has been awesome in terms of even after he's been out of school about getting involved with all our alumni and keeping guys involved and making sure they know what's going on, when it's going on. So I appreciate his help with that. But he was a heck of a player here too. One of our best shooters of all time, and probably one of our smartest players. We share a few good memories and one not so good now.
Bad company.
Yep. He
torn Achilles.
His senior year was cut short, unfortunately, at Hope of all places. But we talk about roles. We've been talking about roles and everything. He played his to a T. He was such a verbal guy in terms of just the way he communicated, making sure everybody's on the same page, and that whole group was. And he was that whole group, because they were that way, it made us hard to scout, hard to guard, and you didn't know who was going to go off because nobody cared who got the credit. We just wanted to win, and all that goes to them for putting any ego they might have had coming into school aside and just buying into the team concept and making the best we could out of everybody that was there. Obviously, it was a pretty good year.
You know, Ryan, when I think about that team, and I may not have this number completely correct, Chase helped me with it, Ryan helped me with it.
Mm-hmm.
The year before, I think you lost your first 8 games.
We did.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's a team, if you really look at that team and how you grew, and you learn from those experiences, and there was a certain chemistry that developed that basically you were never going to let that happen again, and you played like it. But I mean, there was a lot of teams, they lose 8 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally, they don't have that mental toughness to be able to really ever really come back and truly believe and accomplish the things that your team did.
And you know, I think it that year, correct me if I'm wrong, Chase, I think we beat Wisconsin Platteville, or
That is wrong. I don't know who you're talking about, but I've never played Platteville.
Okay, there was Platteville. It was one of the Wisconsin schools at the St. Norbert tournament.
St. Norbert.
That was the first.
Yeah.
And I think we went back to that tournament, which we'd played in 3 or 4 times up to this point, and I don't think we'd maybe won 1 game the whole time we played in it, because it's always a tough tournament. And we go back the next year and just kick both teams' butts, including St. Norbert, who we beat again later on in the tournament. But that was really the starting point of that build up to the next year. And we talked about the Hope win at home, and that came later on in the year, but I think we were down 17 with 7 to go and came back and won that game. And we ended up winning, I think, 5 of our last 6 in the league, and going to Calvin and putting them in a close one. Didn't quite pull it out in the tournament, but that was really the kickstart of everything and for the next year.
That year we beat Hope and Calvin.
Yep.
Calvin was actually the 17-point comeback, 7 minutes and 4 seconds.
That was Calvin. Yep.
So we beat both of those teams that year. That was awesome. And then just kind of to your point, Ralph, too, they had our freshman year, we started off 0-10 or 0-11.
Yep.
And then my sophomore year, so the core group of guys, my sophomore year was what you were talking about, starting off 0-8. So the core group of guys from that 16 team kind of went through the gauntlet of just being bad.
Yeah.
So kind of coming back and coming together and just kind of, that cliche phrase, trusting the process, or however you phrase it.
Yeah.
It definitely made it all the better.
And I think the biggest thing
behind us.
Whoops, sorry. I think the biggest thing they learned was you talked about earlier, Ralph, a bunch, and Luke, about they learned how to compete. And even though the wins weren't coming, I mean, we had so many games where we lost 5 or 6 points or less in those 2 years prior, and it was just a accumulation of it's going to be our time at some point, and that time finally came, where it all just came together. But I think we got one more. Calvin, I see you hopped on here. Love to get some memories from you as well. Whoop, I think you're on mute.
Here we go. That right? That better? Yeah. Hi, I'm Cal Kerr, class of 72. And I did not play basketball. I ran track actually all 4 years. But I'm back from the days of Charlie Hudson, Jerry Hills, and John Fusak, and Bob Eldridge. How you doing, Bob?
Good, Cal. How you doing?
I'm really on the call to see you, man. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
James.
We and one of the reasons I went to the games back there to when I was in school, not only to see you guys play, but was to see Bill Klink coach. That was a entertainment all in itself.
I got a question. Anybody that played for Bill Klink, he used to say, now in terms of going out the door, he said that 40 times from the time he started his pep talk before we went out to play.
40, it was more like 140.
That was between cigar puffs.
Yeah, there you go.
Because he'd have the cigar on the practice floor and we'd have to run around the edges.
Yeah, those are my memories of basketball. But the things you've said about competitiveness and cohesiveness and the team translated to our track squads. We won 2 MIAA championships while I was in school, and nothing better than beating Hope and Calvin anytime, basketball or track.
Awesome. Thanks. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Cal. Well, I know we've talked about, and thank you for everybody for sharing. This is awesome. I love having you guys on here and getting to share and hear these stories. It's always a cool thing to hear the different eras and things you guys were able to do together and the friendships that you still have.
Ryan, let's talk about the future.
Yeah. Well, that's where I was going next, Dave. We've got a pretty young team right now. We have one of the best players in the league. He's a junior this year in Cole Cliver. COVID's really put a wrench in getting everybody on the floor at the same time. That's really been tough, but we've got a lot of young, talented kids. We've got a big junior class that we're expecting some guys to step up in, and a couple sophomores that have really stepped up their games. And a couple freshmen that are going to find their way on the floor here. We got a big kid that 6'7" out of Macomb, Dakota. That's probably one of the more athletic kids we've ever had here. And he just has a motor. And the biggest thing right now, and so far in practice, has been without the leadership of a Ryan Stevens and the 4 seniors we had last year. We're trying to find some leaders on the team. Matt Lark, who is our only senior, he's been awesome, but he's missed some time with being in quarantine and stuff like that. And so really trying to find some other guys to step up and lead a little bit with their voice instead of just their actions. One thing I was going to point to Bob and Ralph here a little bit. I see a distinct difference kind of I've been doing this about 10 years now. I played for 4 at Kalamazoo. What are some differences you guys see in kids coming into college now than back when you guys were coaching? Because I feel it's different in a little bit their mindsets, a little bit how they've been even brought up in the basketball world. I feel like every kid is as skilled as they could be, even more so than with having trainers they can pop on the computer and find. They can do a lot of individual stuff by themselves. The hardest thing now is teaching these kids how to play and play together. And it's been eye-opening, I think, this year, even for myself. We have to do a ton of coaching with this group just because they are young, they're eager to learn, and they play hard. But as skilled as they are, it's that cohesiveness and that learning to play together is a lot tougher than I think it even was back when Chase was playing and all those guys.
Well, if I could just step in, I think I know what you mean, Ryan, is
Yep.
that today there's so many more avenues for kids to play. Where it used to be they would go to a summer camp for a week and then work out with their own high school team or their buddies. Now they've got, leagues all summer, all year round now.
Yeah.
They've travel teams and this, and they've got, they're being exposed to so many kids are more athletic, I think, in general. That's how the game has evolved. The biggest thing is, like you said, I think is getting them to play together, getting them for a common goal, because everything has been me, and now it's got to be we. I think it was a lot easier. I don't know, maybe Todd and Matt and Jay could answer this, but it was a lot easier to sell them on team play. Back when we coach, I don't know, Ralph, maybe you feel differently, but I think it's a little harder for coaches now to get kids today to think more in terms of we than me.
Haven't spent.
I mean,
Oh, go ahead.
Go. I mean, Jay, if you want to jump in, I'll jump in. Yeah, there's, I just got out of the coaching game for 20 years, and I mean, I coach girls, but it hasn't been any different. Here's the biggest difference. Yeah, kids are playing the game a lot, and they can do a lot of skills. But when we played, like, think about when we played at Alma, like, we played a lot more pickup than kids do now. Like, we played pickup, like, all the time at the park, at the gym, we played pickup. And when you played pickup, what did you have to learn how to do? If you wanted to stay on the court, you better learn how to play as a team. You better learn your strengths, like who should shoot, who shouldn't shoot. I mean, like, those are that's the game, right? Well, that's not being taught now. Like, okay, I can get on Instagram and I can dribble between my legs and do this and that, and every skill that, I've learned, I can do all that. But how does that translate into you being a part of 5 people?
Yep.
And like, that's the biggest thing that I have always taught as a coach is, like, it's 5 as 1. Like, that's how you have to play the game. It's 5 as 1. And when you can play 5 as 1, then you can play the game. But this individual skill stuff, it can fit in when you're trying to you know, like I would always break it down to my girls and say, hey, let's not make this too hard. Like, we're trying to put a round ball in a hoop, right? Like, it's really simple. And we got some people that are good at it. Like, they can put it in the hoop really well. But before that happens, like, there's a lot of things that we have to do to get that ball in that hoop, right? So, like, we all can play a role, but not everybody can put the thing in the hoop. And that's what is being lost with kids. And they don't want to be a role player.
No.
But
and AAU's had a lot to do with that. As someone who's coached both scholastically for 10 or 15 years, and then also coached AAU for a decade, we on our program, and we beat programs that are better than us with more talent, because our kids, we forced them to share the ball and play defense. And that is something that the majority of AAU teams don't do. I mean, I watch teams, one of the groups we're affiliated with, their national team, it's one pass and a shot every single trip. Or sometimes the guy that gets a rebound goes coast to coast, even though there's 4 guys open. And these kids, they're growing up learning they're the center of attention. Their parents tell them they're the greatest thing ever. Their coaches tell them they're the greatest thing ever. They're being pulled in all different directions through AAU. And they think that, they all think, and their parents do too, think that every one of them is going to be a superstar.
Yep.
And that's not going to be the case. And also, to be a superstar, you got to rebound, you got to pass, you got to screen, you got to dive on the floor, you got to do all this, the small things, if you're going to win. And you're not going to have any. And I used to say, when I coached scholastically, I'd point up at the banners and say, they don't, nobody cares that you scored 25 points in a loss 10 years ago. But when they look up on the wall and see a championship banner, that means something. And the only way to do that is to give up the me. And they're not learning a lot of those things. And you combine that with, you talked about the skills too, all this ball handling shit. I mean, it's great, but the ball doesn't move. And I joke with my players that dribbling's the scourge of this generation, because the ball never moves. And the easiest way to tear defenses apart is to move the ball. And they got to adjust. If you dribble in place, no one has to move. They stand there and look at you. Yep. And I've had to learn the dribble drive and all that stuff, and the kicks with the threes. It's changed the game. It's more athletic. It's better shooters. I mean, my 6'5" kid who was just in the room here a minute ago, he can shoot threes like nobody's business. That's not what we did. We played two posts, and that's how it was. Yep. And it's changed completely. And I've had to learn how to coach different. But those couple things, they just don't understand to sacrifice and give. Yep. And that goes for all of them, because even the best scorers at times need to be decoys and everything else, and they don't want to be. And they want to be the shining star on Instagram instead of the championship team. Most of them, back in the day, we'd say, would you rather score 10 and win the game or 30 and lose the game? And all of us, every good player I ever knew would rather score 10. And I don't think that's the case nowadays. And it's frustrating as a coach.
Yeah, I think you're on point. The biggest thing is, and especially we're seeing right now in our practices, is we have to continually reiterate the ball movement is what's going to get them open and what's going to get their next opportunity to drive and attack and make the play that they're trying to make the first time they touch it. And it's not necessarily going to be the first time, right? And that goes back to just playing with other guys that are willing to share the ball. And it's that AAU stuff is as good as it is for us recruiting wise. It's also frustrating to watch and see that over and over. And so we found ourselves taking some pretty talented guys off our board if they are just a one mindset type of kid and they're not willing to make the right play every time. If it's going to be a me play, that we don't want them. And we've probably lost a few kids like that, but we
try to tell our kids in AAU, college coaches are looking for you making the right play, not scoring a gazillion points. Make the right play.
And I think that's what, going back to the whole 16 team, that's what they did. Like we talked about, they didn't care who got the credit each game or who scored the most points each game. It was, what's the right play every time we're down the floor. And it worked out in our favor quite a bit when they played like that. But again, that took 3 years to develop, and it's getting tougher and tougher. And I think you see that on just about every team. You see a little bit of turmoil until they figure it out.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with everything that's being said. The AAU, the traveling team, the traveling teams. When I worked at West Point, I got to be friends with Mike Krzyzewski because he'd come back to West Point every year, and we were talking about it. I asked him about the same question as far as today's athlete, and he said, Ralph, he said, it's too easy for today's athletes to lose. Because they play in these traveling games, or on the AAU, they may play 2-3 times during a day. So it's easy. There's no bite if they lose. They don't even have, all they think about is themselves, because they're on that traveling team or on that AAU team, hoping to get noticed by college coaches. And one of the things he says, besides the talented athlete that we have to get in order to win at this level, we have to get the right type of talent in order to win. And we have to be able to watch players and find, are they going to be coachable enough to somewhat change to our system? And I think that's one of the most important things that coaches today, I mean, the young players are coming up with a lot of things that we didn't have, or other generations didn't have. But I think all of us have to find ways that we can win according to what our style or our core beliefs are, but getting people that will be open-minded, talented players that are going to be open-minded to it. And will buy in, pretty much like probably what the 2016 team did.
Yeah. And how about for any of the guys that have coached high school, even, or Luke, I know you've coached quite a bit. Dave, I know you have. Bruce, reffing games, you get to see a lot. What are things you see that have changed, or that you'd like to see a little bit better even?
Hey, Ryan, something I was thinking of when Ralph was talking too is I used to ask kids, and I think this is important mentality wise, with a winner mentality, I used to say, do you love to win or hate to lose? Because I think that most people that are successful hate losing. I mean, like, and when you beat a team you should beat, there's no celebrating, just did our job. And it doesn't mean you can't have fun on a big win. We beat Calvin when they were number 2 in the country, Ralph. That was quite a night out afterwards. You weren't there, but it was pretty crazy.
Now we want to hear the rest of the story, Jay.
But you know, we when we beat teams we were supposed to, we didn't celebrate. And when we played like shit, even when we won, if we played poorly, it was like, yeah, that sucked. And you just gotta hate that feeling. And unfortunately, that means you probably enjoy winning less, but it also makes you go to work because you just don't want to ever get beat. And I think that with recruits, I mean, I think of a kid that really wants to compete, like Ralph talks about, you got to hate losing. You got to hate it.
Yeah, I think you're right on point. And I think that's just setting your own standard for your own team, right? And everybody's got to be on board with that. And it's something you just have to, it's kind of internal, right? You want to compete, and you gotta hate losing, like you said, Jay. Let's see what Stewart have to say here. Stewart had to leave, but he said, next time his question for all the players is whether anyone would wake up in the middle of the night remembering a great pass they threw or watching their man skate by them for a layup. I know personally I have a lot of those guys skating by in my memory. I was not much of a defender, but
Ryan, I've got a question. I don't know if this is an appropriate time to ask this.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
I don't know if it's directed towards you and or Sarah. It's regarding Bill Klink. You know, we all love Bill. We all have favorite Bill Klink stories and memories, and what a guy. I mean, losing Bill is a big loss for Alma College and Alma College athletics, and especially the basketball program. I'm just wondering, and I know it's an unusual time with COVID and all this, is there anything that is being planned to be done to somehow honor and recognize him through athletics, or in particular basketball, at some point this season, or when we can all, I don't know, get together again, or in person, or whatever the case might be,
Yep.
to
I
give
think
him
Sarah
the
hopped.
due recognition that he deserves.
Yep. I think Sarah hopped off here, but we are in the process of creating a banner to have hung in the gym for him with his number and the years he played and coached here. And just, we plan on having a ceremony where we retire his number in the gym. And so just to recognize everything he's been at Alma, not just as a coach, but as an ambassador, as a supporter, as a mentor to, I mean, he's constantly in touch. He was constantly in touch with all of us. It seemed like that. And I know baseball, he was very involved with Coach Crane, and he would email us just about every week, just wanting some information or giving us some information on and alumni or anything any articles he would see that thought would be relevant. And I mean, he did so much for the school and so much for a lot of different individuals that were blessed enough to know him. And so we wanted to make sure we honored him in some way. And I know baseball has already put a banner up at the baseball field with his number as well out on the field. So I believe we're going to do something for football as well. And so we're definitely going to honor him in multiple ways. It's obviously well-deserved and something we wanted to make sure we did.
Thank you.
Ryan, am I under the understanding, I think he wore the same number in football, basketball, and baseball?
22, yep.
And all three sports are going to retire that number?
I don't know if football can, just because of sheer roster size, but for sure basketball and baseball, I believe
there was talk about that, and then there was also talk when the Klink Open, if we can have that again, to make that as a part of a celebration of life for him back on campus, versus the small ceremony that they had down in Florida on his passing. So that was my understanding, talking with his family a little bit and some of those things.
I believe that is correct. When we have the Klink Open, I think it's going to be we're going to intertwine it with the memorial. So it'll be a good weekend.
Planning to do that, Dave. Yeah, and you've said it. I've been in touch with Carrie and Steve and Krista about that, and working with them to do a memorial service in conjunction with the Klink Open. We are probably going to do that. Actually, we were talking about doing it in the chapel, but we're actually probably going to do that in the gymnasium, in the Art Smith Arena, appropriately fitting, obviously, given the legacy. So that memorial service will be somehow tied into the golf outing for those that want to come back for the memorial service and the golf outing, or just the memorial service. But we'll have more details coming out as soon as we can get all that together.
I might add one thing to all that. I know we're talking about sports, but Bill Klink was just a wonderful human being too.
Yes.
I got an opportunity.
All you guys
to add one thing about Bill. When I was alumni director, I had the great opportunity to go down and visit Bill in the villages in Florida a few times, and he still absolutely loved everything about Alma College. You know, he drank more coffee than anybody else on the planet while he was there. All those years he was there too, but he had nothing but great stories about the school and about everybody he came in contact with, and he was a superhuman being.
I definitely second that. He was awesome, just as, like I said, as an ambassador for the school and someone you could call if you had any questions about anything, whether it was sports or life. I think he had always had advice for everybody. Great Coach G. Yeah, Coach G, Coach Goffman. He's way up there on the coffee for sure. He was about a 5 cup a day sometimes, I think. But he's for everybody who doesn't know, he's kind of semi-retired. He's kind of stayed away with all the COVID stuff this year. But he's still in Alma. He's still hanging around doing well. I just talked to him the other day and we stay in close contact and told him as long as he wants to be involved, he can come back at any point. So we loved having him. And I know he was a big part of Alma for a long time and big part of my growth process here too, as an assistant and now a head coach. So I appreciate him a lot for everything he's done for us.
And Ryan, it wasn't mentioned earlier, but one of the best memories I had, even though it wasn't men's basketball, was the women's basketball, mine and Todd's freshman year, when they won the national title.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Great experience just being on campus watching that go down. So.
And now I got to experience a little as an assistant, but I heard he was a fireball on the sideline too as a head coach, and he was very entertaining to watch.
Yes. Oh yeah.
He got kicked out of quite a few games, I'm pretty sure, but including one when I had to take over for a game and he ended up getting kicked out, and Mr. Stevens hit that shot for us to win, so it made me look a little better, so that helped. But his clipboard slams are famous. I'll tell you that much. Oh, well, a little bit. I mean, we've done a few things around campus here, trying to update some things. We've got some new chairs coming for the gym. We're planning on doing a locker room update as well, in terms of trying to get a few more graphics on the walls, just make it a little bit more of a cool environment to be in. It's obviously been redone when the new gym was added, but nothing's really been put on the walls since then. So one thing I'm going to ask from you guys is if you have any pictures from when you guys played, for some collages we want to do in there. We want to kind of do the history of Alma through various images. If you guys have any, please feel free to send those my way, and we'll try to make sure they're up there. I know we've got a few in the archives, but we don't have many from different eras. So if you have any photos or articles or anything like that, I'd love to see them. You can just send them my way. My email is right on the website, so you can send them that way, or send them via mail if you want to do some photocopies or something like that. That would help us out immensely trying to create this collage for next year and these nice wall images we're going to put up.
Ryan, I have a picture of me dunking on Bloomquist's head. Is that cool for them? Yeah. Or does it have to be against an opponent?
I mean, we'll let you, if you guys want to come back together, then you can go show them in the locker room too, and just point it out to our guys.
Oh, there you go, right there.
They are good.
Ryan, I'm just going to jump in, and I'm going to have to get off now, but thanks for the invitation, Bill.
Yeah.
Thanks for everything you did to get this set up, and for everyone that joined us today. This has been wonderful. Bob, I'm looking forward someday. I remember the very first time I met you, I think was probably up at Lake Superior or someplace when I was coaching at Central. But I'd love to get back together again once COVID is over. So look forward.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to run too, but it's been great. I hope we do this again soon.
Yeah, we'll try to set something up here, maybe for like a little mid-year here, mid-season Zoom call. We can talk about either how bad or a good job we're doing as a staff.
It's going to be a good job, Ryan. Yeah. No question about it.
We got a good young group, and I mean, they're working hard. We've had a ton of guys putting a lot of extra work in. They see the opportunity ahead of them, and they're trying to stay ready. So now it's going to be, are they staying ready for the month they're at home and staying in shape when they get back? So a lot of self drive right now, and we have Zoom meetings with them weekly. And so it's just trying to keep them all headed in the same direction and keep them on the same page right now. So can't wait to get back on the court.
Ryan, I got a question for you.
Yep.
I guess this is really a general question for all basketball coaches right now. How is this whole situation affecting your recruiting?
You know, it's been interesting. It's a lot more. Obviously, we haven't been able to do it as much in person. It helped Indiana was playing this whole time because every Michigan AAU team went to Indiana and played just about 5 or 6 weekends in a row. So we got very acquainted with with Fort Wayne and a few times in Indianapolis. But for us, we're a little different than some other years where we don't have to bring in a ton of kids. So we've actually been able to stay pretty picky, for a lack of better terms, and who we're looking at. I think we got a lot of good kids on the board yet. We've got one commit, actually a kid from Texas, guard out of Texas. It's just we saw him online, had a conversation. He came up here. He was the last visit on campus before COVID got shut down in the spring. And he just loved it and loved everything about Alma. And the big thing was the people and the time that everybody took while he was here out of their day to talk to him and talk to his whole family. And he's a workhorse and a gym rat, and he plays on a 5A school down there that's in the playoffs and winning districts and going to regionals every year for the last 20 years. So we know he comes from a good program. And so got a few other guys in the Grand Rapids. We've kind of spread all over the state right now, and we've got them way over in Croswell, Lexington to Grand Haven to way up north in Frankfurt. So we're a couple down in Detroit area. So I mean we're getting out and about, and now it's just trying to get some high school games to go watch them.
Hey Ryan, there's a Lotterman up in Marquette.
Okay.
Who I'll send you some information on. My nephew. Not bad.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
I saw his highlight film. He can play a little bit. He's got those lotto hops. Somehow it's genetic, you know, it crossed over.
Hey, and we'll take any guys you know or see you later. See you, Chris. Any guys you know, any kids you know, we'll always take recommendations. Obviously, if you guys think they're good enough to play here, we're gonna take a look at them, and we're gonna see what they're all about. So we'll always do that. And we do have a kid coming from Akron on the 12th. So we are hitting Ohio. We've got a kid in Indianapolis at a private school as well. So we're getting out and about a little bit in some surrounding states. You guys have any other questions here tonight?
Oh man, hey, I appreciate it, Ryan. Awesome. Good luck this year.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. I just want to jump in and say that I followed that run, Chase, you guys had. You know, and it was kind of like, you know, I was coaching at the time, so it was always hard to get to games. But once my season was over, I'm like, told my wife, who's also an Alma grad, I'm like, all right, honey, we're getting in the car. And we went over to Chicago, and that was such a fun weekend to see you guys win the first game and have a hell of a run. But that was like, you know, other people have said it was like everything that we all wanted to do at some point, you guys did. So it was fun. Appreciate the ride, living it through you.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome story. It's unfortunate that why it was so gratifying is because it hadn't been done before, kind of thing. But I mean, it was just awesome to kind of have everyone winning. And I tell you what, when you've never made the tournament before, when you make the tournament, it's a heck of a lot bigger deal than when it's expected.
Yeah.
That made it better too. More special.
Matt and my here's our claim to fame. So we had a really good start to our year. I think we were like 10-3 to start. We went out east, won a couple tournaments, and then we went up to Lake State. And Lake State was good that year. Lake State actually beat Central that year, and we went up there and beat them in overtime. And that was the year, it was 94, because it was our 94, 95. So it was like before the turn. And so that year, Central beat Michigan, because Michigan was not very good. It was 94. So that was we beat Lake State, who beat Central, who beat Michigan. So we're like, better than Michigan.
Was that the transitive property right there, right?
That's right. And, as I've coached for 20 years, so I know that transitive property is garbage, but whatever. That's our story, right, Lotto?
So I dumped on Chris, whatever is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes. Or maybe he was gone by tractor trailer probably at that point. But
Oh,
Michigan was not good then. That was like, well, the one guy that played at Alma.
You're ruining the story by saying they weren't good.
I'll stop.
Oh man, I think we could have gone another 2 hours just telling stories here. I think this is. I appreciate you guys all getting on. No, this was a heck of a lot of fun, and we're definitely going to try to do this again here in the near future. And like I said, as things hopefully return to normal next summer, we're definitely going to do some 3 or 4 around the different parts of the state. We did one in Traverse last year, Grand Rapids, Detroit. Dave Devine put one on at the DAC for us, and then in Lansing as well. So just keep that in mind as I know it's quite a bit of ways ahead, but we'll send out reminders once we get those set up too. And I hope to see all you guys in person at some of those. And I mean, it's always a fun time catching up with everybody. And since I wasn't a part of the Alma history in terms of a player here, it's fun to hear all these stories and about different eras and what went on. And it's been just an awesome thing to hear from you guys.
Ryan, you're doing some really good things there. Just keep up the great work. We all appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Luke. We appreciate that. And that's not just me. I mean, that's Ryan and Tyler and Coach G. And we've got we've got a manager that's like Dave. He just shows up every day and does everything we ask him to do. And he's a basketball junkie, but just unfortunate for him, he's like 5'10" and $125 when he's soaking wet. So but he's a great kid. And so we've got a great staff and that are young and hungry and they're doing a lot, especially at this point, individual work, even with our guys and doing a lot of extra stuff. So it's going a long way right now. But Bill, you have any other comments here?
No, we'll wrap it up. It's been just great to have everybody back on and hear the stories. And so just so glad that we were able to have, I mean, literally we had 6 decades of Alma College basketball on.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That speaks to some of that legacy right there and that family connection. So.
And yeah, just again, if you have any pictures, I'd love to see them. We'd love to go through them. And those would work great, Todd. If you want to send us